recent times, more and more Nigerians in diaspora are renewing their support for the development of their home country, Nigeria. Many of them are returning home to establish businesses, set up organizations, or contribute in various ways towards national development. As part of these efforts, Ben Television London has lent its support to a Nigerian in diaspora, Mr. Godson Azu, as he launched the book, Campaign Strategies for Political Success, a book that the CEO of Ben Television, Dr. Alistair Shorode, described as apt and timely in lieu of the 2015 general elections in Nigeria. This and more on reshaping our ideologies towards consolidating Nigerians' democracy will come your way shortly on the program. My name is Okamechi Somto, and this is Dateline Nigeria.
The ethos of Ben Television basically is bridging the gap, and for us, promoting Nigeria, standing by Nigeria, no matter what the challenges are, as long as we have the little resources, we will continue to do our best. And here for us is finding somebody who is trying to put some information together, trying to create an educational platform through writing something that is very worthy, something that is of interest, and his first journey into making a presentation to the Nigerian community. Of course, our own is to support, and Ben Television provided that platform. Ben Television provided the publishing material, the publishing house, and Ben Television is the publisher of this book, Campaign Strategies for Political Success in Nigeria.
As Nigerians prepare for the 2015 general elections, barely 10 months away, stakeholders have underscored the need to adopt international best practices in driving political campaigns.
A lot of people, sometimes they go into politics without really having any ideology, and they kind of learn what politics is all about just by following people up and down. Now, the author, Godson Azu, is somebody who has tested the political terrain in the Western world. He has contested election in the United Kingdom, and somebody who is a political analyst have studied how elections were conducted in Europe compared to Nigeria. And I believe it's something that is very educational, informative as well, in the sense that it's enlightening people and sharing with people what they need to understand before going into political world. But apart from that, it's just making the election that we know, especially in Nigeria, sometimes they're very hard, sometimes the challenges are so enormous that you can see them facing you on a daily basis. But hopefully with such books available, people will be able to know how to conduct a peaceful, joyful campaign.
I do realize that most of the campaign structures that are being managed here by most politicians or most political parties are made up of talks and touts rather than people who have been trained or have gone through campaign structure, campaign management, campaign organizing training in order to keep a well-organized and managed campaign structure for an individual candidate or a political party.
One of the challenges I faced in those days was that you see somebody who didn't prepare for any election, and the person will expect to win an election. How can you score a goal if you are not in a football field?
There are techniques, strategies, that we must follow to win an election. And they are developing. People are beginning to hire consultants here now to campaign for them. I'm beginning to see consultants being hired by those who have the money to hire them when they are going to an election. I'm beginning to have people, engage people to go and research in their own constituencies to tell them what the issues are, what the interests are, what the attitudes are. Because in the long run, all of us human beings have the same needs and fears. And so those define our choices. So we're beginning to see that happen already. So a book such as this is going to increase the tendency for us to be a bit more tactical, scientific, methodical in our campaigns. If this happens, then gradually we may not have any need for political talks who will not be able to change people's attitude. If we employ talks and somebody employs ideas and he wins through his ideas, I believe it's cheaper to employ ideas than talks.
If this book that is being launched today is taken seriously, Nigeria will begin to have a new mentality, a new way of campaigning, and probably we will go into an era where people will campaign on issues and not on personalities, and not on ethnic or religious influences. It will be what you can deliver when you come to office.
We are getting into a new dawn of how politics and campaigns are going to be run in Nigeria. The era of money politics will soon be over. The new dawn will be about issues.
The Minister of Information, Labaran Mako, urged more Nigerians in diaspora to get involved in national development processes, promising that the current economic reforms going on in the country offers better investment opportunities.
These reforms have opened the door for you to stay wherever you are in the world and buy into what you are doing at home. Whether it's in the power sector, in industry, in infrastructure, in education, in agriculture, a lot of opportunities are opening up. And we expect our people to take advantage of these opportunities. I have seen people all over the world rushing to Nigeria in spite of the challenges we have now. I've seen the Chinese Russia, I've seen the Indians Russia, I've seen the Asians from different countries come here. I've seen even Europeans and Americans coming to invest here because they know the opportunities that exist here. And if you have a vision, and you are hardworking, and you are committed, you will be surprised that the opportunities this country is offering today are far higher than what you will get in Europe now.
He further expressed confidence that Nigeria will overcome the challenges facing its political and electoral processes.
In our country, we are still struggling with ethnicity, we are struggling with religion, we are struggling with region, and so on. Because it's a young country, it's a young democracy, the issues of interest are not fully defined, and so the struggle for resources, for allocation, for political authority, and resource allocation for representation are still very raw and fresh. And that is why sometimes you will find that our contest for leadership is more combative. It's more combative than you have in the US. It's more combative because our societies are still not at the same levels. But we're heading there. We're making progress.
For the stakeholders at the event, the Nigerian nation is working towards overcoming its electoral as well as security challenges. Thus, they called for better support from the populace if the democracy must be consolidated.
Nigeria does not lack leadership. What Nigeria lacks is probably management of these leaders, and these leaders managing the resources that's available to them in order to administer the benefit, not necessarily the benefit of dividend of democracy, but the benefit of what Nigeria produces in terms of natural resources that we have. And at the end of the day, really, for any nation to succeed, the law must be effective. And that's another thing that I hope Nigeria as a nation, if we begin to allow the law to do the right and follow the right path and the right path, then Nigeria will progress.
We all need a sacrifice and commitment. This is a very beautiful country, it's a wonderful country, and it's a country that offers the greatest possibilities in this continent. And even where we are, yes, we have challenges of insecurity and so on, and unfortunately that challenge is becoming increasingly global. It's not located in Nigeria. We are doing everything possible to address it. And I can show you that terror will not last here forever. It will definitely pass. It will run out of fashion.
Let us see the indices of governance, whether we have not done well as a nation. Let us see the indices of what any military anywhere in the world have done that is better than what our military is doing in the Northeast. Let us weigh the fish. Let us weigh the fish and be able to challenge the world and say, yes, we started democracy 1999, second time around. Which country, take time, could do as well as we did?
After the event, Dateline Nigeria sat down with Mr. Godson Azu, the author of the campaign strategies for political success. He tells us more on how such international best practices can help change the face of politics in Nigeria. You're welcome to Dateline Nigeria, sir.
Thank you very much.
Can you tell us a bit about this book, Campaign Strategies for Political Success? What message does this book have for Nigerians?
Having been involved in various stages of political campaign in the UK, as a member of the Labour Party in the UK, and a senior official of a trade union in the UK in my working days in the UK, and having gained such levels of experience within the campaign structure, looking back to what is obtainable here in Nigeria, I felt that there is need to put something together that will help to sensitize our politicians and their campaign organizations in order to be able to have a clear understanding of how things work in the developed and advanced countries in Europe and America. And I think it's something that is very, very essential for every political party here in Nigeria, and also all politicians, both practicing politicians and intended practicing politicians. Campaign structure is one of the remix of politics that every politician have to understand how it works and how it works to their favor, and what are the elements that they need to understand about it. The most key thing they do in Nigeria is just to organize people and then organize how they can get the candidate to the aspirant. First of all, you have to be an aspirant first, then you become a candidate, and then you become an elected officer. So first of all, they want to get the aspirant to know who are the kingmakers in the community, and then they get the aspirant to start producing posters, and then start having late meetings with people, and then that's it.
General publicity stuff.
They just get these general publicity materials, posters, flyers, and then they start doing all this their normal, traditional way of doing things.
Yeah, are you saying with this book that there are better ways to do these things?
Yeah, basically the book is giving you some form of improved technicalities on how you can put your campaign organization together, and they will be able to function with a processed, a regular report on the progress so far at every stages of the campaign process. And you find out, one thing they found out here is that election is not won by just going out there to tell people, I want to represent you, I'm the best candidate for you. It goes beyond that. There's a lot of work you need to do overnight to be able to get the mind of people to rest with you, to be able to get people convinced that you are the best candidate. There are processes where you have to get to the point where those that are persuaded voters and unpersuaded voters. You have to know those who are your key voters, and you have to understand those who are split voters. You have to know those who are undecided voters. There are different key elements that every serious aspirant need to be able to understand when they are organizing their campaign. You have to do a research. In Europe and in America, campaigns for every election actually starts like 1 year, 8 months before the election. Your campaign team, which consists of about maybe 3-4 paid staffs and about 10, 15, 20 volunteers. Youths. And the difference here between what we do here and what is done in Europe, or obtainable in Europe and America, is that campaign structures are used by most university graduates as a launch pad to get into their fields of employment or areas of specialization in the employment labor market. And it helps to orientate their minds of what people think, what is the assumption of people, and it helps them to understand what the community is all about, how community operates. And by doing so, they build up their work experience, they build up their career experience, and then moving forward. But once they look for a work with an NGO organization, or look for work from most of the big multinational organizations, they already understand how to have a clear interpersonal relationship with people in the community. They'll be able to understand what are the social responsibility of the community, what are the corporate responsibility of an organization to the community or within the community relationship. So, and I thought that in this country, campaigns are just organized. After the election, everybody dissolves, and then that's the end. And then another 4 years' time, you organize another event, and then you have a different set of people.
But here in Nigeria, oftentimes the youths will see a lot of thuggery going on. Do you have any propositions on how these things can be better managed to limit this thuggery incidences or thuggery issues when it comes to political campaigns in Nigeria, so that we see that the youths being involved in political campaigns are better engaged, meaningfully engaged, other than just being used as thugs?
There are stages whereby you have what you call the volunteers within a campaign structure, and these volunteers are trained to understand what they ought to do, and these young men will become an instrument to the key development within the communities, and then we reduce the number of thuggery activities, or using university students as a kind of a shield to protect your political interests as an aspirant or as a candidate.
Okay, so you think this is a useful thing that Nigerian politicians should adopt?
Yes, it's one of the key things that can help develop our politics. You see, the problem we have here is that our politics is devolved of pure ideological tendencies. So you don't know, people just go into politics because of the fact they want to make a name for themselves first. 2, they want to be known to be in government. 3, they are there for the money. No real politician in the Nigerian political circle can really really identify his or herself to a particular political ideological lineage. It's very difficult. And the only way we can get to understand what are our politicians' ideas and what ideology are they tilting to with their ideas. So people's opinion will be tilting to the progress or the process by which government policies are being defined or are being implemented. And as such, we begin to see a new generation of beliefs among our youths, among our next generation. If you go through political quotes of the past, you see political quotes by Nnamdi Azikiwe, you see political quotes by Awolowo, you see political quote by Tafawa Balewa, political quote that reflects what they think that the society is thinking. They are thinking of a political philosopher thinks for the society and dictates what they think the society is thinking or what the society may be thinking in the next 50 years. They tell you what it is, just in 3, 4, 5 lines. You understand? But our present politicians are not doing that. So, and then you find out that money is the dictator of the day in Nigerian politics, which is not supposed to be so. What should be the dictator of our day in our present, moving forward, our politics is about ideology. It's about our philosophy. What do you think? How do you perceive this generation? What do you think the next generation will be? In a philosophical language, what do you think? In a very clean and straightforward statement, what is your feeling? How do you think? Why should people follow you? Why should people follow you in the reasons? Why should people follow you? That's the most thing politicians should ask themselves.
It's all about political ideologies. It's all about political philosophies and being able to live it out. Because it's one thing making these philosophical statements or having this ideology or telling the world that you've got this particular kind of ideology, trying to convince people that this is what you believe in. But in actual sense, when we probably vote you in, and then you don't get to live out those ideologies or those visions that made us vote you in the first place, I don't think that would be very helpful to us. So it's believing in these things, telling us you believe in it, and eventually living it out. So now, are you convinced that this book of yours will bring back this kind of attitude or approach to political campaign or political programs?
Politics is an engagement. Like in the book, there are pages. There's 1 or 2 pages there that tells you about that tells you that maneuvering in politics is one of the obtainable things you have to know how to do. Manipulation is one of the key aspects. You know, people think manipulation is not very good, but in politics it's accepted, because politics itself is all about manipulation. It's about telling people what you think they should believe in, and they believe in it, and they follow you, and they vote for you. It's about for you to be a manipulator, you must be a good orator. You must be able to. You must be somebody who understands. You understand the community in depth and indeed, so that when you speak, people will not be guessing that does he know what he's saying? Does she or he really know what he or she is saying? Understand? You must be able to understand the values of your people. You must be able to understand the key elements of your people. You must be able to understand the social structure of your people. You must be able to understand the economic tendencies of your people. You must have a key factors of those things that when you stand to speak to people, either on the podium, either in a group of a meeting or a seminar or whatever, you must be able to have that statement. You must be able to have that statement that no other person can make or state, that can drag the people to say, this is who we want.
Well, Nigeria has been able to survive 15 years of democracy. Now we've got a lot of challenges that is quite becoming popular globally, insecurities and all sorts of issues, and we're about to get into another major political phase in our history with the elections, 2015 elections, less than a year away. So how would you generally assess the political terrain in Nigeria, and do you think our democracy is such that if we keep at it with the pace and tempo we're going, that we will be able to consolidate our democracy?
Now we have seen the best and the most articulated process of our democratic transition in history. And I feel that people should commend people should commend what the government of today has done and is doing to ensure that democracy is sustained, political environment is stabilized, moving forward, that there is more hope for people to know that they can govern themselves by agreeing within themselves that this is who they want and this is how they want to govern themselves. This is the first time that this dispensation is the first dispensation in Nigerian political history that we have seen the handover of governance from civilian to civilian. It has never happened before in Nigerian history, even though people may say that it's a very short history, but history is history. You cannot divide from it. So for me, I feel that our democracy, no matter the various hindrances, the various crises, the various trials by enemies of progress, who felt that if it is not them, nothing works in a society. You get me? Irrespective of their actions, I still have the belief that this democracy will survive, will outlive the crisis, will bring prosperity to many people in this country.
Thank you so much for being part of Dateline Nigeria today.
It's my great pleasure.
And with that, we come to the end of today's package. Thank you for being part of the show. Enjoy the rest of your week. Bye.